Let's focus on energy resilience this October during Energy Action Month. The JRTC and Fort Polk have an energy and water plan with the goal of becoming more efficient and affordable. The Army is the largest consumer of energy in the Department of Defense, spending over $1 billion each year on utilities. Fort Polk's utility costs increased by 22% from fiscal year 20 to 21, and even more in fiscal year 22, resulting in challenges to fund Army programs. By working together, we can save energy and help make our community more resilient. I'm Jeff England, and this is the Fort Polk Podcast. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are listening to this podcast. I'm glad you are able to tune in. I am Jeff England from the Fort Polk Public Affairs Office, and I am here today with David Broyles, who is the energy manager here on post. And apparently, October is Energy Action Month. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Mr. Broyles. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much.
Once again, I got to make sure that your mute button is not on. A lot of people around here wish I had a mute button. It's like, oh, they would press it and just leave it alone like that. So tell me, what is, the Energy Action Council, or is it a council?
Well, the Energy Action Month is a series of events conducted each October throughout the Army, and it's just it's all about raising awareness of the critical role that energy and water plays and everything that we do, and why it's so vital that we conserve it. To ensure we have enough energy and water to support our critical missions, the missions of JRTC and Fort Polk, and our everyday lives of what we do.
Yeah, there's times, and that varies around the country. I know out west they are strapping for water. The lakes are going down and they're finding bodies and cars and old towns and stuff that have been buried by water in the lakes. And over here, sometimes we have too much. Yeah. Sometimes every year my yard turns into a swamp. And it's like, okay, what can we pipe some of this to some other places that need it desperately? But I understand the whole conservation. I've been over to the water plant that we clean all the water up and then put it back into the environment and put it back into the stream. That was very cool. That was
right.
Cool.
So yeah, Jeff, I think it's important to know that there's another aspect of what this is all about here. It's really under the umbrella of what we call energy resilience. And let me explain that that's just not about conservation, about reducing, which is very, very important. But the also other piece is assuring that we have energy and water supply to be self-reliant. And the Army's guidance is up to 14 days without dependency on outside sources. So let's just think back of what's happened back in 2020. We had several severe storms. Hurricane Laura.
Oh, just a couple.
Two
huge hurricanes, 3 tornadoes, an ice storm. Yeah. That was not a good year.
Yeah.
And a pandemic.
A tough year. And you reach back any further. I was here during the era when Hurricane Rita came through.
Katrina and Rita.
And Rita.
I was just getting my job. I was up in Michigan. They said, so you got a new job? You're moving? Where are you moving to? It's like Louisiana. They said, where Katrina is? Yeah. It's like, yeah, why would you move down there? It's like, because it's better than here.
So everybody knows about what's happened, what Katrina did to New Orleans area. Not so much about Hurricane Rita, but it has the same impact here. That shut us down. Everything after the storm shifts from mission to emergency mode. You have to get everything up and running. Here, most recently, let's look and see what happened in Florida there. Can you imagine what that's done to their everyday lives?
Oh, it's wiped cities out.
It's not business as usual, right?
No, not even close.
So that's the same thing. Same thought process as it applies to the Army here. We have to shift their mode from everyday mission to emergencies, and that causes a major disruption. Major challenges to make sure the mission's accomplished while you're in emergency mode too, especially when you don't have power, you don't have, you can't turn on the lights, you can't turn on the computers,
you can't turn on the TV or the computer to get
TV,
the news.
You
have to have like a radio, but if the radio stations are out of power too, then you're kind of messed up.
You don't have power for your radio station here. So,
or the cell towers.
You can keep on and on and on. Everything that you do, whether it's your business or whether it's your home life, is totally interrupted. I mean, it's just...
There's a lot of them, and from what I remember from Laura and Delta, after we had the power outage, we were out of power for a couple weeks, and it's not just having that backup generator, it's getting fuel for the backup generator.
Absolutely.
We had to fill up our cans for gas because I only have a portable generator, but even the whole home generators that run off of propane, they had problems geting refilled also. It was crazy. It was just crazy.
Right.
Now
so that's one of the primary objectives we have here at JRTC and Fort Polk. We have an installation energy and water plan. We thought about a lot of these things, and we put together strategies, and we are rapidly consciously pursuing to make those things happen, to make the installation more resilient. So yeah, we're looking at generating and storing power here at Fort Polk so that we are less dependent, and that's up to 14 days. As a contingency measure, it doesn't mean that we will no longer utilize electricity from outside to in. It allows us a contingency in case we go through another, and we will go through another.
Oh, yeah.
It will happen again.
Let's just cross our fingers and hope it's not soon. So, but with the you say to have some stored energy here, what kind of stuff are we looking at? Solar power, wind generation, batteries?
Well, we got things that we're thinking of in the intermediate and then I call long range. So, however that plays out, it's hard to get into details, but let's. We also want to think about renewable energy as well, because part of the objectives for the Army is to address measures to reduce our
footprint.
CO2 emissions in the atmosphere. So strive towards using less fossil fuels. A lot of people don't realize that electricity, actually, and the biggest part is generated from fossil fuels in this area. So areas may be less. There's different. It depends on where you are in the continental United States. But here, we know we have some use of renewable energy. I call it. But the majority of it uses things still like coal and a mixed bag. There's some other sources. We know nuclear is being used from the grid, and the grid really covers. There's 3 grids in the United States. They're eastern half. There's the western half, and then Texas has its own grid. So we're looking at pursuing what we call a microgrid.
A microgrid.
I
hope it's better than Texas. That winter storm, it's like, okay, no electricity because all the wind turbines froze up.
Yeah, there
is cautionary tale in all types of energy production.
Yeah,
and it costs. It costs a lot.
And the challenge right now is the technology, like you talking about the wind turbines and stuff. The technology is not quite up to where we need it to be in order to get to that point of being utilizing more things like solar and geothermal. wind turbines, we probably will not look at wind turbines here, but
Well, imagine how much energy we could have made during Hurricane Laura.
yeah, yeah, I never thought about it like that. That's one way, but
We got too much.
yeah, but that's I think of resilience as a combination of those security measures to assure energy is supplied, and the other half is we call it efficiencies and affordabilities. And we got a lot of again from the plan we're pursuing those things as well.
So when you say resiliency, it's not about the production or using it. It's about how quickly we can bounce back from an emergency.
It's that as well. One of the aspects of conserving is assure that we have the capacity of energy and capacity of water for that security aspect. So it all wraps together. Those three different Army goals is resilience, efficiency, and affordability. They all connect to each other, if that makes sense.
So, see, I'm looking at you sent me some flyers in here and stuff, and I saw the resilience with greater than 500 megawatts. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's
here.
a lot of wattage.
That's a lot. That would be for the Army Army wide. I think that's what they're looking at globally there. So no, we're only a subset of that.
Oh, that's good. I was hoping we weren't going to be using. Fort Polk consumes over 500 megawatts.
No. Fortunately, we're not that way.
And so, what kind of grid do we have here on Fort Polk that? Because we're talking about efficiency and saving energy and helping the environment, and there's like a whole thing wrapped up into Energy Action Month. Mm-hmm. Now, when you're saying conserve, are you just talking about turn off the lights when you're not in the room?
Yeah,
or?
Simple things that everyone can do. We talked about that yesterday at the Warrior Information Exchange. Start out with there's a installation policy, Command Policy 18. It's available on the JRTC and Fort Polk homepage at any time. Drill down to the policies, and CP18, it'll outline the guidance. Very simple things, such as turning off the lights when you don't need them. I mean, it's very simple. Nobody's in a room, turn off the lights. Similarly, the air conditioning, if it's too cold in there, there's temperature ranges in the policy. It should be around 74 degrees and not way down to 64 degrees. If it's down 64 degrees, adjust the thermostat up. You're not going to be comfortable at that temperature either. So,
there's a big difference between going to bed in a cold room and waking up in a cold room.
Yes,
big difference.
I'm going to start out with that. Very simple things. You every day turn off the lights, adjusting the thermostat, set it back whenever you don't really need it.
And the cool thing is they've got equipment out there that actually helps with this stuff. I've seen in offices where there's an automatic light switch that'll come on when somebody walks in and turn off. At home, when we built our house, it was I made sure that we had energy efficient windows. Sealed. They've got argon double window pane with argon in the middle, rated. We've got foam insulation to help with the insulation. We've got every light in our house is LEDs. So 100-watt equivalent is, I believe, about 8 watts. So I'm saving 92 watts there just on one light bulb.
Well, absolutely.
And
be surprised.
And we have the Nest thermostat, or a programmable thermostat. So when we're not at home, I've got it set to work time and home time. So when I go to work, my thermostat goes back up, or it just basically has such a wide range that it's going to set it to where it won't have to work too horribly hard to bring it back to temperature. And then when we're at home, we keep it at a nice temperature.
That's very common nowadays. you have apps out there that you can remotely control, check on, see what your home temperature is, adjust it right there on the app.
Yep, that's I got that. It even has a little thing that says, "Are you home or away?" And if you say you're away, it'll set it to an away mode, which is really nice.
Oh yeah, LED lights, very common, and that's part of the policy. Well, let me just back up here. If you have an incandescent bulb in your house, realize that that's using a lot of energy, and you just simply, all you have to do is replace that bulb with an LED
Yeah,
bulb.
that's so 1995.
Yeah, and you believe it or not, it's still around. I mean, but that's by simply changing from fluorescent to LED, you're going to find that you're going to cut down your energy significantly just by doing that.
Well, are there plans on switching over the installation to LED fluorescent tubes, or is that just a as needed kind of thing?
Okay, so yeah, there's we've actually got a big efficiency project here. We're going to hit 160 buildings. Right,
You got to hit ours.
Yeah. Let me mark that down here and make sure. Looking at LED lights with controls. Now, there's another thing. You get an LED fixture nowadays, and you pay $10 extra, and you get built-in controls.
Nice.
So that if it doesn't sense motion, you could set it for a time, but then sense motion, and there's other type besides motion. There's some that senses the breath in your yeah.
Okay, that kind of gets scary.
Yeah, but anyway, in general terms, if it doesn't sense any movement, activity, it'll automatically turn off. I mean, and if you come back in there, it'll sense you, it'll turn back on.
Oh, that's cool. And so we've got the Energy Resilience and Conservation Investment Program. And so what are we investing in? I know we got the QRP, which is, I'm going to try to avoid all of my acronyms and initialisms, but the Quality Recycling Program.
Yes.
That helps.
Helps a little bit, yep.
And we've got the Water Recycling Program, and that helps.
Right.
And what about electricity?
Well, we've got a lot of basically the efforts I talked about, 160 buildings. We're looking at more efficient fixtures.
So it's going to be a lot of it is going to be the lights.
It's not just lights though. We're looking at what we call recommissioning buildings. You think in terms of tuning an air conditioning system to operate more efficiently.
Yes, absolutely.
And simple term we call it is tuning. But anyway, that's a lot of things we can adjust there, tightening a fan motor belt and such as that.
Change the filter.
Oh, goodness, please.
Blow out the grate on the the fins or whatever, the compressor.
And
radiator.
Thanks for mentioning that. Filters. I encourage people to change out their filters once every quarter. Don't let it run dirty because what? First of all, you don't want to breathe dirty air, do you? I don't.
Well, I don't know. No. A lot of the smokers will sit there and say, "Well, I don't know."
Louisiana here, we have a lot of dust, and
oh yeah. Just take a look at my garage. It's dust everywhere.
And there's mold fibers and mold molecules in the air. You don't want to breathe that. So change out your filters, or if that's a replacement type filter, or if it's sometimes you have permanent filters, you just take off and wash them down, let them dry, put them back in. All that. Plus, simple things is don't put your couch on top of a floor register there where air supposed to come in.
Block it. Ugh.
Those things, you're not only blocking your air, you're making your HVAC unit work even harder. Keep those outside doors closed, please. Look, this is Louisiana. We got a lot of humidity, right?
Yeah, there's
we have our share, right?
The new barracks have like all climate control. That's why the doors close, the windows are sealed, and all that stuff.
Yes.
And it also helps with the mold and the mildew and stuff.
Yeah, but that's my other thing I preach here is close the outside doors. first of all, you're not allowing that cooled air that from the HVAC to go outside, right? Or the reverse in the wintertime, you try to heat your building. And
we're not trying to heat the neighborhood.
Try not to heat or cool Louisiana. That's what I'm saying here, and spend that energy. So, but your adverse thing is you're not you're keeping the doors closed. You're keeping all the dust and
particulates,
pollen,
especially pollen,
and you're keeping the mold from coming inside.
Absolutely.
People don't understand that all that in a cold space, you can have mold build up. Do you want to breathe mold?
I don't. Tried it once, didn't like it.
Yeah. So simple stuff. Keep the doors closed. Turn off the lights. Set back the thermostat. That's all we're talking about here.
Now, what about, so we have an electric grid, and what I learned from Hurricane Laura and Delta when we lost it is we depend on electricity coming in from Alexandria. And but from what I've heard, there's a microgrid, and we have the like a privately funded installation microgrid.
Well, we're working on that.
We're working on it. Okay, yes, great. Yes. Excellent.
We're getting close. So just be patient. We'll get there.
And what does that what does that mean
what does that mean? Simply, it's using our installation electrical infrastructure already, okay? Nothing changes there. But it brings forward here a power generation source to Fort Polk, and it creates power right here and energizes that grid.
So we'll have our own
little miniature
power station.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Now, but what about reform? There's something. I'm looking at the flyer and all that stuff, and I'm trying to follow everything here, and there's so much stuff like reform, which is a Title 10.
Resilient energy funding for readiness and modernization. Okay, so what that means is, as of last year, the Army attained the right legal authorities to, instead of returning cost savings from energy savings, okay, back to the U.S. Treasury, the Department of Army is able to hang on to it. All right, the fiscal year dollars don't go back to them, and they go into a pot they call the reform pot. So here the beauty is the installation that contributed to cost savings. All right, follow me on this here. Amounts to a bucket of money. All right, half of that money will go to the U.S. Army for their enterprise level programs. Okay, that's required by law.
So that like the big Army, way above us.
Big Army projects.
Okay.
The other half is the beauty. The other half is 50% is for the installation that achieve those savings. So 50% of that. So, I'm going to pick a number just for conversation. So if Fort Polk, JRTC and Fort Polk did a great job, saved, conserved energy, reduced it, and we're able to report that, and we do. I report that once every month.
It's funny how command likes to be reported to.
We do a lot of reports, okay, but one report is very important here is where we report our energy and water savings. And so they got it all figured out. That's okay. So that means that if Fort Polk saved, pick a number, $1 million. All right.
I'd like to save $1 million.
Yeah, $1 million.
I'd like to have $1 million to save.
So Big Army keeps $500,000. $500,000 is reserved for JRTC and Fort Polk to apply to whatever operation, it's OMA funds we call it. So it'd be applied for whatever OMA funds that here JRTC and Fort Polk wants to use that and reinvest that money.
And OMA being operational maintenance.
Operation and Maintenance Army. Yeah, excuse me, the acronym.
Yeah, the acronyms and the initialisms.
So, that's the beauty. So that money doesn't go away. It can be reinvested back into Army for things that command leadership would like to see done here. So that's why we want to emphasize it's not just numbers. It actually turns into cash value for various Army programs here.
Now, the power purchase agreements that we've got going on with this program apparently is going to be for to purchase renewable energy. What kind of renewable energy for these purchase contracts and stuff? What kind of renewable energy would Fort Polk be looking at?
Well, we're currently not under a PPA, what I call it, power purchase agreement. So that's one of the contractual mechanisms to gain power. We are not that sort of instrument set up for that. But it is just one of the mechanisms to, along with, we use the term third-party financing. You might see that listed on here. Jeff, I'm going to give you a copy of this. That's the reason why I go by the.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's so much information to go to. I mean, you can actually, to find a lot of this information, you could just search the hashtag Power to Win.
Yeah.
Power to Win. TO win.
Yes. Yes.
And we've got some other affordability or efficiency, and there's three main things: the resilience, the affordability, and the efficiency. Now, I've seen around post that we have these solar-powered charging stations almost everywhere. And is there any plans for the Army to start purchasing like hybrid vehicles or any?
There's definite immediate plans, and there's, I believe there's a future plan. The interim, I call it, is right now if you supported by the administration on down, is to invest in electric vehicles for first. They're looking at focused is on the non-tactical vehicle fleet. You call them GSA vehicles, government vehicles. Those are being changed out. I'm tracking by 2027 all those viable candidates for NTV candidates will be changed out to electric vehicles.
I could just totally see an all-electric Humvee.
Yeah. Well, that's. That'd be the tactical side there. So,
but I did see one on TV. I think once. It's like, oh wow, I don't know about that one. Could you imagine how long it would take to charge that thing up?
That's another thing I think is being looked at. The immediate focus is on NTV fleet. We have plans coming up. We call them area development plan to actually plan out all the locations where we need charging stations to support the inbound NTV electric vehicle fleet. So that's coming up here, I think, this fall. We're just waiting for a team. What teams have been assembled. We're just trying to time that, and we'll have what we call a charrette. Get all the
charrette?
Charrette.
Is that like a charades?
Charrette? No, not quite. It's a fancy term to explain just gathering people in a room.
Oh, a meeting.
A meeting.
Oh, a fancy charrette is just a meeting. Okay, I have to go to a charrette instead of a meeting.
Yeah.
Sounds so much more important.
But it's a form to expedite all the coordination process to site where we need charging stations. So we're tracking by 2027. We'll have up to I'm tracking 101 vehicles
on Fort Polk or in the Army.
That would be on the garrison side, and that's not including the GSA vehicles on the mission side, ForceCom, etc.
Oh wow! So, like Volts or Chevy? No, the Teslas.
Well, they're not going to be Teslas. Those are not going to be Teslas because they're going to follow what's available on the GSA contract schedule. But there's several things. So that's one of the initiatives we got going here. That's to I'm told to support the Army climate strategy, they call it. So and it's all about reducing the smoke coming out of vehicles and try to go greener.
I'd always try to go greener.
Yeah.
See, like back to emergency power, we've got like people have their little portable generators.
Yeah.
I have one of those. It runs on gas, but I also have a solar powered generator.
Yeah.
It is a huge battery,
Yeah.
and the good thing about that is I don't have to worry about placing it someplace. I could put it in the house,
Put it where you
and then,
want it.
Yep, and then just run the solar panels wires out and charge it that way.
That's nice.
And so I can keep and it's silent.
Yeah.
So there's not a single sound out of that unless it beeps or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that is so much better. And I'm still looking at like a whole home power generator, and I just saw that now they've got these the battery backups for the whole home battery backup, and I like that too because it takes a little bit for it to kick over. But yeah, so a solar power generator that would come in very handy, especially when their gas is very sparse or hard to come by. After that.
So you just hit on one of the elements of resilience is to not just generate power, but be able to store it too, especially when you got something like solar that, there's only certain hours during the day you collect solar from the sun here, around noontime. So you want to try to think about storing that and use it when you need it. It could be late at night.
Yeah.
So, that sort of thing. So, anyway.
There always seems to be a pause in a conversation. And it usually, if you're in a really loud room with a bunch of people and you're trying to talk to somebody, and then you get to an embarrassing word or something, and that's when there's a pause and the entire room just goes silent, and you're yelling out something. It's like
Yeah.
So I'm kind of interested. Of course, Net Zero. Net Zero is a program that we've got here on Post that we're trying to reduce our emissions to zero. So it's a zero net gain. So we take in and we put out. It's trying to reach zero.
Right.
And are we, to help get to that for energy wise, are we looking at putting in a solar field or something like that?
Well, we've actually planned out locations where we can grow for solar here.
Oh, nice.
And the master view or the long range view is to connect that to the microgrid, so that we're not just increasing our use of renewables, solar, and reducing our need for fossil fuels that we would get from the normal electrical grid.
Now when we do that, that's going to, as long as it's producing, it will contribute to the system, right? And that way, make our energy, our meter go backwards, right?
Well, that's. I don't think the utility company would like the fact that the meter's going backwards.
Well, that's how mine did.
But yeah.
Well, no, I guess it didn't technically go backwards, but it did give credit, and they subtracted what I put into out in Arizona where there's a lot of sun.
Yeah.
Like my dad has actually a negative electric bill.
Absolutely.
And that's nice.
Yes, that and that a lot of people can do that out there.
I'd love to be able to do that here.
Yeah, you're actually,
especially with how high my electric bill's gone up lately. It's doubled. It's crazy.
And you just hit on the most important reason to conserve right now. Just all of you take a close look at look at your utility bills. See what's happening there.
It's crazy. I mean, all fuel costs are going up.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, it just went up again. So it's like it started coming down and coming down. Nope, back up. It's like a psych.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's hard to, we can't hardly control the utility rates out there. That's pretty well governed, and we can't control the cost of fuel, which affects our, believe me, it affects our rates. But what we can do is conserve as much as we can to mitigate that.
So are we looking at an on-post power plant?
Not a big power plant like
Maybe
you see.
40 megawatts or something?
It's good. You hit right on it. 40,
I'm good.
40
Hooked on phonics worked for me.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's not going to be a huge power plant.
But it'll help.
But, yes. But, we're reaching out to utilities, our utility provider to actually.
Oh, that's the 14 days. The 14-day supply that you were talking about.
Absolutely.
That'll help because usually, at least in the last 2 hurricanes that I've seen where power's been gone, it was about 2 weeks before they started getting it back on on a mega scale.
Well, think about our current Hurricane Laura here. So, we had some infrastructure damage here, down power lines, et cetera. But most of that was fixed within no more than 3 days, right? But that doesn't mean the power lines are energized. We still had to wait for the outside supplier, CLECO, to fix all their lines.
Yep. So it's not just us; it's everything around us too.
So that drug up to 7 days in the middle of the very hot summer day, when you really need. That's when it happens.
I
right?
had about 10 fans blowing. It's like a hurricane inside the house.
Yeah. Hurricanes happen at the worst time.
Oh, they do.
So that's why that's important.
So let's just. What are some of the simplest things that we can do just to, it's not going to take any effort, but it'll help in the long run if everyone does it. Turning off the lights in a room when you're not in there, that's an easy thing to do. That should be a habit.
Easy. There's a lot of tips out there, but I'm going to mention a few here. I think I mentioned a few earlier here. Turn off the lights, setting back the thermostat. Okay, whenever you don't need it. If your house is going to be unoccupied for several days, turn that thermostat up to 80. So you're not running your air conditioning and cooling a house that really doesn't need to be cooled, right?
And pets can handle 80 degrees in a house.
Right. Change your filters in the air conditioning unit. Check your weather stripping in your home. Look for gaps in the bottom of the doors. If you got a gap, you can see daylight there. Well, then you're losing air. And the windows do the same thing. Check your the caulking around your windows. Check the weather stripping around your doors. Insulation. You hit on one earlier. Look at your household. See if you've got proper insulation. You'd be surprised how much that will improve.
Oh, I know exactly how much it'll improve because my house is insulated, but my garage is not. And if I walk into the garage in the summertime, I have to get out within 3 seconds, or I will burst into flames.
Yeah. Appliances. Here we use. We're required to use what we call Energy Star rated appliances.
Oh, I've seen those everywhere.
All right. There's websites where I think you can just key in the word Energy Star, and it'll take you right there and show you all the different product lines that meet that. Refrigerators, microwaves, I can keep going on and on. Those use a lot less power than non-rated.
Yeah, I just find it funny. It's like people sit there and it's like, well, trying to save energy is all this and that. And it's like, the main reason to save energy, the easiest sale on saving energy is money. Save yourself some money and purchase.
Yeah.
What would you rather purchase? A $9 LED light that lasts for 14 years or a regular incandescent, which do they even sell them anymore? And for $1, but you have to buy 14 a year.
I don't even buy them anymore. I spend just a little bit more and get an LED bulb. You can get them, I say bulbs. You also have them, the tubes.
And
you can replace a fluorescent tube. If you're going to, if you need to replace them, it's very simple to put in an LED tube, and it'll use a lot less power. I could conservatively say at least 30% reduction.
Well, one thing I do know about are fluorescent lights, and a 3-foot tube, it's about 10 watts a foot. So a 3-foot tube is 30 watts, a 4-foot tube is 40 watts, and an LED equivalent
13
is like 13 watts.
Yeah.
It cuts it in half at most, or at least.
Yeah.
And you can even get more energy efficient, and they're only getting better.
Yes.
And they last a lot longer, and they don't have that hum.
Yes.
And it's worth it. I really, it's amazing how, I don't put a lot of thought into energy savings and being stuff like that. But it turns out, looking back at everything I've done, it's like, well, oh, wait a minute, I am. I don't stomp on the gas anymore. That's because gas is expensive.
Yeah.
I did all that stuff with the house to keep my electricity bill low. So it's not that I'm out there trying to harp on everyone to save energy, but to save money.
Save money.
Money talks.
Absolutely.
Money talks. Look, and I'm helping. I'm helping out.
So, you touched on the cost of the utility energy and water to the Army. Yes, it's over $1 billion to the Army.
That's a lot of money.
Yep.
A lot of zeros.
Here at Fort Polk, it's no different. It is the second highest bill to JRTC and Fort Polk, the energy bill.
And energy...
Followed only by our civilian military pay. I mean...
Yeah, and we're not quitting.
and we're not quitting, and we're still going to use energy, but we need to conserve it whenever we can, and reduce the cost.
And that's what Energy Action Month is all about.
Because what happens here, the budget doesn't increase. Does your budget at home increase every time your bill goes up?
No.
Well, mine either.
No.
Well, it doesn't to the Army either. So they have to make hard choices sometimes if we run it up too high. It challenges all the Army programs. It really does. So if you like other programs around, think about conserving.
Places are always cutting programs, and we don't want that. So let's help it out. And Energy Action Month, that's what it's all about, is trying to better consume our energy, better finance our energy. And I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
It is great to have you in here. David Broyles from the Directorate of Public Works here on Fort Polk. He's the energy manager. I appreciate you coming in. I really
thank you,
do.
Jeff.
And I'd like to give you a big old applause. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. And that's going to be another wrap on another Fort Polk podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we will be listening at you later.